The alternative to this feels like a descent into a bleak and desolate existence. Everywhere I look reminds me of you, speaks to the pervasiveness of this longing. This need has become an undeniable force, shaping my inner world and outer actions. The thought of being permanently separated from this feels like a profound and irreparable loss. My current emotional state is inextricably linked to the presence or absence of this vital element. It's a singular, overwhelming focus that defines my current thoughts and feelings with stark and undeniable clarity. This isn't just a want, it's a deep-seated void that only this can fill, a truth echoing in my soul. You're the missing piece feels less like a cliche and more like a vital organ I never knew I lacked. My internal landscape is dominated by this singular, urgent craving, a point of no return. The prospect of navigating life without this feels like facing a perpetual twilight, devoid of true light. This isn't a preference. It's the very foundation upon which my current sense of self precariously balances. I'd be lost without your love resonates with a terrifying accuracy, a fear I can't shake. Every thought and feeling seems to orbit this central necessity, a gravitational pull I can't escape. The absence of this feels like a constant, low, humming anxiety that colors every experience. This isn't a fleeting infatuation. It's a profound and unwavering dependency for my emotional survival. It feels like standing on the edge of an abyss, with only this connection offering solid ground. I just can't get enough isn't just a song lyric. It's the relentless mantra of my current state. The world outside this intense focus seems like a blurry, unimportant background. This isn't a choice I'm making. It's an intrinsic meme that dictates my emotional reality. The potential loss of this feels like a catastrophic failure of my very being. Each passing moment without this feels like a step further into an unwelcome darkness. My heart beats only for you, echoes with a fierce possessiveness that both thrills and frightens me. This need has become the defining characteristic of my current emotional existence. The thought of a future detached from this feels like a sentence to a life half lived. My hopes and dreams are now inextricably interwoven with the presence of this connection. It's a consuming fire within me, fueled by longing and the fear of its absence. I'll never let you go feels less like a promise and more like a desperate vow to myself. The prospect of being denied this feels like a fundamental injustice, a cruel twist of fate. This isn't a simple desire. It's a vital component of my current emotional architecture. My mind is a relentless echo chamber, amplifying this singular and overwhelming need. The alternative to this feels like a slow, agonizing descent into despair. You're all I ever wanted takes on a weight of absolute truth in my current perception. This need feels like an instinct, a primal urge that cannot be ignored or denied. The thought of a life unfulfilled by this feels like a constant, nagging emptiness. My emotional well-being is now entirely contingent upon this single point of focus. It's an all-encompassing obsession that leaves no room for other concerns or distractions. I need your love like I need the air to breathe feels like an understatement of my current reality. The potential absence of this casts a permanent shadow over my thoughts and feelings. This isn't a casual fancy. It's a fundamental requirement for my present state of equilibrium. My mind is a constant loop of longing, fixated on this irreplaceable necessity. The alternative to this feels like a barren wasteland where nothing can truly flourish. You're my reason to be resonates with a profound and almost terrifying intensity right now. This need has become the unwavering North Star of my current emotional compass. The thought of a future without this feels like a journey into an uncharted and frightening territory. My current emotional landscape is entirely defined by this intense and singular focus. It's a deep, visceral yearning that permeates every corner of my consciousness. Without you, I'm nothing feels like a stark and undeniable truth in this moment. The prospect of being separated from this feels like losing a vital part of myself. This isn't just a preference, it's an absolute necessity for my current sense of wholeness. My thoughts are relentlessly drawn to this, an inescapable magnetic force. The alternative to this feels like a life devoid of purpose and genuine connection. I can't get you out of my head speaks to the constant presence of this need. This need has become the central driving force behind my current emotional state. The thought of a future where this is absent fills me with a profound sense of dread. My current feelings are entirely dominated by this intense and unwavering desire. It's either this consuming desire or nothingness, a stark choice echoing in the silence of my thoughts. You had me at hello feels like an understatement compared to this all-encompassing pull. My world has narrowed to this singular focus, a point beyond which there seems to be no return. This isn't just wanting, it's a fundamental requirement, like air or the beat of a heart. The alternative to this connection feels like a vast, empty expanse where life loses all meaning. If I can't have you, I don't want anybody. resonates with a terrifying accuracy right now. Every fiber of my being is oriented toward this, a magnetic force I cannot and perhaps don't want to resist. The thought of existing without this presence is akin to a shadow detached from its source. This isn't a fleeting fancy. It's a deep-seated yearning that colors every waking moment and haunts my dreams. It feels like standing at a precipice, with only one path leading to true vitality. "I'm lost without you" isn't just a lyric. It's the raw truth of my current emotional landscape. The absence of this feels like a constant ache, a void that nothing else can fill. My entire internal compass points relentlessly in this direction, ignoring all other possibilities. This need has become the very air I breathe, the foundation upon which my current reality rests. The prospect of a future devoid of this is a landscape I cannot bear to fully imagine. "Where have you been all my life?" takes on a profound and almost desperate significance now. This isn't about preference. It's about an essential component being either present or devastatingly absent. My thoughts are a constant loop, circling the central point of longing and necessity. The weight of this feeling is immense, a gravitational pull shaping my every decision and reaction. It's as if a vital part of me remains dormant, waiting for this specific connection to awaken it. "I can't live without you" is a sentiment that claws at the edges of my awareness constantly. The world outside this focus seems muted and indistinct, lacking true color and vibrancy. This isn't a game of choices. It's a fundamental imperative driving my thoughts and actions. The potential loss of this feels like a catastrophic event, a tearing apart of my inner world. Every moment spent without this feels like a moment spent in a state of incompleteness. "You're my everything" echoes with an intensity that both comforts and terrifies me. This need has become an undeniable truth, a core element of my present existence. The thought of navigating life without this feels like trying to walk with a missing limb. My emotions are tethered to this, rising and falling with its perceived presence or absence. It's a singular, unwavering focus that dominates my internal dialogue and external interactions. "I need you more than words can say" feels tragically inadequate to express the depth of this feeling. The possibility of this not being a part of my future casts a long and chilling shadow. This isn't a casual desire. It's an intrinsic requirement for my emotional well-being. My mind constantly returns to this, a moth drawn relentlessly to a powerful flame. The alternative to this feels like a slow fading, a gradual extinguishing of my inner light. I will follow you into the dark, speaks to the unwavering nature of this profound need. This has become the central axis around which my current thoughts and feelings revolve. The idea of a life unanchored by this feels like drifting aimlessly in a vast and empty sea. My hopes and fears are intricately intertwined with the presence or absence of this connection. It's a deep, visceral longing that permeates every aspect of my being. Take My Breath Away captures the sheer intensity of this overwhelming feeling. The prospect of being separated from this feels like a physical tearing, a profound loss. This isn't just a preference, it's a fundamental necessity for my current state of mind. My thoughts are consumed by this, a relentless undercurrent shaping my perception of reality. The alternative to this feels like a barren landscape devoid of joy and meaning. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine, resonates with a desperate plea right now. This need feels primal, an instinctual drive that overrides all other considerations. The thought of a future without this feels like a story with a tragically incomplete ending. My emotional equilibrium is entirely dependent on this singular point of focus. It's an all-consuming desire that leaves little room for any other thoughts or feelings. I can't imagine my life without you is a constant refrain echoing in the chambers of my mind. The potential absence of this casts a pall over everything, dimming the vibrancy of the world. This isn't a negotiable desire. It's a non-negotiable requirement for my current happiness. My mind is a whirlwind of thoughts centered around this intense and unwavering need.